Next, a bipartisan group of House and Senate members hold a press conference to detail a series of bills intended to improve higher education and keep Illinois students from attending college outside of the state. This runs about 25 minutes.
Alrighty. Good afternoon again, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Emmanuel Chris Welch, like the grape juice, W-E-L-C-H, and I am the chair of the House Higher Education Committee. I'm proud to be standing here with my colleagues who make up the bipartisan, bicameral higher education working group. The members that are here are Representative Kelly Burke, who chairs the House Higher Education Appropriations Committee, Representative Katie Stewart, Representative Bob Pritchard, Representative Dan Brady, Representative Noreen Hammond, Senator Chapin Rose, Senator Paul Schimpf, Senator Tom Rudy, Senator Kimberly Lightfoot, Senator Scott Bennett, and Senator Pat McGuire. We also have Champaign's very own member of the Higher Education Committee in the House, Representative Carol Ammons, joining us today. The Higher Education Working Group has had 17 meetings. Our group has produced, for consideration in the General Assembly now, 5 bills and 1 resolution that we believe will start to help put Illinois higher education system back on track to be the best system in the country. These bills are just a start. Our work is not yet done. We plan to continue meeting over the summer, but for now, we are proud of the work that has been done to date because we believe that in order to fix the Illinois economy, we have to do it through our higher education system. If we're going to lift up Illinois, this group agrees that we do it through our higher education system. To give you all more specifics on each of the bills that are currently pending in the Senate and the House, we're going to call up the Senate and House sponsor. I believe everyone has a fact sheet that was passed out, and we're just going to go in the order of the bills that are listed. On Senate Bill 2354, you'll hear from Representative Katie Stewart and Senator Pat McGuire, and then House Bill 5020 and down the line. Representative Stewart and Senator McGuire.
Thank you, Representative Welch. I'm Pat McGuire, State Senator, District 43, Chair of the Senate Higher Education Committee, and by dint of age, I guess, Chair of the Higher Education Working Group. And when the budget impasse ended last summer on bipartisan action, I sincerely hoped that would portend more bipartisan action to help Illinois get back on its feet, and I believe that the Higher Education Working Group is proof of that. As Representative Welch said, we are 12 in number, 6 Democrats, 6 Republicans, 6 House members, 6 Senate members, and we've met 17 times without partisan rancor. We took testimony, we heard presentations from all 12 public university campuses, from numerous other groups, from in-state and out-of-state academic experts, and we then devised the package of bills which we were unveiling today. And the first one is Senate Bill 2354. Again, Representative Stewart is the House sponsor. I'm the Senate sponsor. And I'm going to ask Representative Stewart to detail this bill. She's well suited to do this because this is a bill that streamlines the transfer procedure between community colleges and four-year universities, and Representative Stewart has taught at both of those levels.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Katie Stewart. I'm the representative for the 112th District in the Metro East here in Illinois. And so Senate Bill 2354 is going to do a lot of things. It's one of our bills that's really focused on the student side, and to make sure that the process of transferring is seamless for those students, we're calling on the public colleges and universities to have an advisement session for those students who indicate that they intend to transfer from a 2-year program to a 4-year program, to make sure that they are taking the coursework necessary and that they're going to have a smooth transition and not be caught taking unnecessary courses that aren't going to count, which leads to greater time and expense in continuing their degree. And along with that, it also has what we call a reverse transfer portion, so that courses taken at a 4-year university can transfer backwards into the 2-year system, enabling students to retroactively get an associate's degree, so that if they don't complete that full 4-year, they at least have a degree in hand to go forth into the workplace. So I think both of these measures are really going to help all of our students be able to be more efficient and focus on completing their line of study that they intend to. And as a freshman legislator, this has really been a wonderful experience working with this group in such a bipartisan manner and kind of ignoring, there's not rank and seniority, it's all opinions and gathering all the information before we move forward. And I hope that as I further my career here that I get to see more and more opportunities to work in this manner, because I think we're making really smart decisions and doing things wisely. Thank you.
Senator Chapin Rose, and Senator, I'll stand next to you.
So, House Bill 5020, one of the most interesting things I think we found in our discussions, we actually at one point kicked all the university presidents out of the room and asked the admissions directors to come in and listen to what is being said at the doorstop as they're competing for that family and those parents for that kid and the competition from around the country. And one of the things we heard time and time again from every single public four-year institution was that these out-of-state schools come in and offer four-year awards. And then they're stuck backpedaling, well, you might get MAP, but you might not, and it's only good for a year if you do get it, yada, yada, yada. So what I think is one of the hallmarks of this and one of the two biggies in this package that will produce great results for families, help us combat the brain drain, and at the end of the day, put more seats in our public institutions of higher education, is this transformational piece that would give MAP grantees priority the following year. In essence, taking MAP from a one-year program to a four-year program. This would also be good for community colleges. So if you start off at a community college and then you matriculate up to a four-year, that will follow you as you go. And again, this is really great certainty for families, the students, to know what's coming. But it also really helps us with this brain drain because it gives the admissions directors exactly what they asked for to combat what the competition's offering our students to leave Illinois. And so before I turn it over to my colleague, Chris, I'd like to leave two different things. One on this, and I personally think that this package of bills should send a loud and clear message to the students of Illinois that we want you in Illinois. We want you to stay in Illinois. Illinois has the crown jewel of the higher education system in the United States, and our competition ought to start worrying about this because this is some really good stuff for families to keep folks in Illinois. The second thing I want to do is say a personal thank you to my colleagues. I filed a series of bills last fall not knowing that we'd ever get as far as we have. But I personally and genuinely thank each and every one of you for putting up with me for the last several months as we've pushed through this. And I really think we've got a great package here. So thank you.
Well, I think the senator said it all, but I could not agree more that I do believe this entire package of bills, but especially the four-year MAP, puts us back in the game. We're here. We mean business. We want our students to stay in Illinois. Next up on the list with Senate Joint Resolution 76 is Senator Tom Rooney, and Representative, your timing is impeccable, Bob Pritchard.
Good morning. I'm Tom Rooney, State Senator from the 27th District. One of the
Time moves slowly in the Senate this afternoon.
Wow. Time warp. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. So one of the stickier problems that we've seen over the years is students transferring credits, in particular from community colleges to the four-year universities. And the problem of having your credits not transfer as you thought they would. So a while back, we created the Illinois Articulation Initiative that has carried the ball quite a ways down the field toward clearing up most of those problems. But a lot of us are still hearing about some of these transfer credits that are falling through the cracks. So what we did was create Senate Joint Resolution 76 that is basically going to have the universities cooperatively take a look at every instance of transfer credits to try to look for those little patterns that are evading us right now and make sure that students can be confident that they can transfer their credits when they go from a community college to a four-year. Representative Pritchard in the afternoon.
Well, and one additional thing it does, as well as looking at each university's credit transfer, we're also going to look at the numbering system on courses, which tends to be confusing. and encourage the universities to be using numbers that correspond with the fundamental course or the foundation course code system. And a third thing we're doing with this resolution is looking at informing high school counselors about the whole articulation process and how they can advise students to transfer courses they may have even earned in high school into the community college system, so that they're using the credits and the time they're having in a very efficient and effective way. So we're trying to do a number of things, encouraging the Board of Higher Education and the Illinois Community College Board to work together, to work with the Illinois State Board of Education, and really focus on this whole issue of getting credit for the courses that students take and making sure that they transfer to the other institution.
They look like twins, don't they? Senate Bill 2927, Senator McGuire and Representative Kelly Burke.
Thank you. During the 17 meetings, we learned of two groups of students which are disappearing from Illinois college campuses. One group is the much publicized cohort of students who are leaving the state to attend universities, not just in our surrounding states, but also in the Deep South. Those students have a certain profile of high school achievement and family income. The other group is a group which we learned of when several of our public university presidents told us that their biggest competitor is nowhere. These are students who gain admission to Illinois public universities, but come fall, they don't matriculate to the public university to which they gained acceptance, nor to a community college. They don't go to any two or four-year institution. So the four-year MAP program, House Bill 5020, and this bill, Senate Bill 2927, which I will ask my friend and colleague Representative Burke to explain, seeks to address the problem of the disappearance of both of those groups of students from Illinois public university campuses. Representative Burke.
Thank you. Kelly Burke, State Representative from the 36th District and Chair of the House Higher Education Appropriations Committee. The idea behind this is we call it aim high, and the I and the M stand for institutional match. So we're asking the state to dedicate some resources for universities to use to attract those students that Pat just mentioned. And in exchange, we will ask for each university to match new institutional dollars to that state support. They're doubling the amount of money that can go to these students. And we've had great support from the universities with this concept. It is limited to Illinois residents only and full-time students who are attending one of our state universities. The universities will have the opportunity to vie for these dollars in proportion to their enrollment of Illinois residents. So, for example, if Western Illinois enrolls 5% of all the public university Illinois residents, they would be eligible to try and claim 5% of the amount. So we think we've left it. We've left it so that the universities can craft their guidelines. It's not one specific student for each university. Each university has different needs, different profile, and different students who apply to it. So we're leaving it to the discretion of the universities as to who they think that this sort of targeted aid will support, will be able to attract. And we'll have an opportunity as the legislature to review what they've done and who they've offered the money to, who's taken it up, and we'll be able to keep tabs on that yearly through a report that the universities will provide, and also through hearings in the appropriation process. This is open to, as I said, any Illinois resident who's a full-time student attending public university. And there is some means testing. It will be capped for a percentage of the federal poverty level, but basically a family of four could earn about $150,000 and still be eligible to be considered for this aid. So we believe and we hope that this will do, as Senator McGuire suggested, keep some of our best and brightest students in Illinois. We know from the research that a student who goes to school in their home state is much more likely to remain in that home state when they go out in the career world, and we want to keep our best and brightest in Illinois.
Well said.
Thank you.
Almost done. Senate Bill 2969, the chief sponsors are Senator Paul Schimpf and Representative Noreen Hammond.
Thank you. And before I talk a little bit about the bill, I just want to echo what some of the other representatives and senators have said. This has been a tremendously rewarding process for me. My name again is Paul Schimpf. I'm the senator for the 58th Senate District, and this really, to me, is an example of how much you can get done when nobody cares, who gets the credit. So I do want to thank my fellow senators and reps, and especially Senator McGuire for chairing the group. I think this has been a groundbreaking, very worthwhile endeavor, and I'm very proud of the results. Senate Bill 2969 simply it expands debt limits at the state's public universities to allow them to address some of the deferred maintenance issues that they're facing. Utilizes certificates of participation. Do you have anything further to add, Representative Hammond?
I would just echo the senator's comments about being a part of this group. It has been phenomenal. I will stop short of saying fun, but it has been, as you mentioned, very rewarding to be a part of this group and to work with our colleagues throughout higher education and all of the interested parties. And I want to thank our universities, our community colleges, ISAC, IBHE, and all of the people that shared their information with us, and most of all for your patience in working with us to go through this exercise to get where we are today. And it started targeting our Illinois students, but also trying to assist our universities, which this bill actually does, assist our universities in giving them some leeway and giving them some responsibility that they have not had in the past. So I'm just really happy to be a part of this. Thank you.
And lastly, House Bill 4781, Leader Representative Dan Brady, and our chairman, Senator Pat McGuire.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. And again, to all the working group, it's been a great experience, and there's more work to be done. I think we would all agree on that, and we intend to see that through as well. I just want to point out really what the focus was. Last fall, when Senator Rose and I filed legislation dealing with how are we going to deal with the numbers of outward migrations of students in Illinois, what was referred to then as the Common App, which carries over, and the process in which we heard from students of how could it be more streamlined and easier for us as students to apply universally somehow to these universities throughout the state and keep our brightest hair. And that's what we're attempting to do. Really, we focused on degree attainment, financial aid, and regulation relief in what we've done thus far. I think the next phase of things, Senator McGuire, would be to focus in on what's going to be really funding to our universities, funding formula and performance funding. So we're going to tackle that issue as well. But in particular, in dealing with House Bill 4781, the intent of the bill is to try and make sure that students taking the state assessments and contact information, their interest, their fields of study, all that information, we find the best way to be universal and shared amongst those universities with the input and permission from that student. And so that continues to be a work in progress, but it's a bill that helps to streamline and I think will be very helpful in keeping Illinois students, not only in Illinois, but making sure that they have the feeling that all my information, if I give permission, is going to be something that will help me get a spot at a university here. Senator?
He said it all.
Thank you very much. Be happy to answer any questions.
Well, briefly in closing, I do want to also thank the group. We have been working since November, 17 meetings, everyone working and rolling up their sleeves and doing what they believe is in the best interest of our state and of our universities. We really are here because we are focused on our next generation and trying to get our students here in Illinois. We know, the data clearly shows that if they attend our schools, over 90% of them stay here, live here, buy homes here, pay taxes here, and they build our economy. And that's why we're focused on the next generation. I also want to thank our respective staffs, both the Senate and the House. They have, I can't believe the amount of work that they do. I think they're vastly underpaid. I mean, because they have done some amazing work in organizing all of these meetings. We've moved locations, repeatedly sent drafts back that had to be changed, and they did it without a single complaint. And quite frankly, they make us look good. So as Representative Brady said, we are available to take a few questions. I know we're still on the floor, but if there are questions, we'll try to take a couple here.
Senator Rose, we've talked previously about this, but is HB 5020 expanding the MAP grants for public institutions? Does that also include taking the MAP grants away from private for-profits, as was discussed in committee?
No, the amendment that's being attached will continue the program eligibility for all institutions for the time being. We have an agreement over the summer to work with the for-profits to put some quality criterion on their work product. And I think we have all 4 caucus buy-ins on that to come back in the fall veto session with some making sure there's quality to what students are getting for their money.
And when it comes to the status of all of these, where are they? Is this stuff that's going to happen by Thursday, or as you just alluded to, working over the summer and then veto session and so on?
Well, I know Representative Burke's bill, 2927, is on third reading. Representative Katie Stewart's bill moved out of committee this morning, so we're hoping to move it this afternoon, tomorrow. And there's action happening in both chambers, so I would encourage you to take a look on ILGA and get their status, because the intent of the group is for these bills to move right now.
Is there a cost associated with this? Obviously, if you're talking about MAP grants, we've had a lot of underfunding of higher ed in the last few years. Is there an estimated total cost to this package, and where's that money coming from?
Out of the entire package, the cost, there's really only cost involved in instituting the Aim High grant program, and we put a figure on that of $25 million. We're working through it. We're trying to look at the higher ed appropriation budget and see where we can move some of that money, but the rest will be done without additional funding. The MAP proposal will work within the existing MAP grant funding, and the rest does not come with a cost.
So you want the $25 million to be in that budget you're passing on Thursday?
God willing, yes.
Can I say one thing about that? This is based on a concept of marginal revenue. So because we're going after students that aren't coming to our institutions already, they're going across state lines, any dollar that institution gets is money to the good. So by requiring the institutions to match, the student's going to win and their family's going to have a big win, but you're basically getting a $50 million program for $25 million. And it's all money to the good at the institutions, because it has to be someone who's leaving the state of Illinois or wasn't going to college anyway. And that's really on a marginal revenue basis. We looked at some numbers. Someone threw out the number of possibly 6,000 additional students could take advantage of this. And it might be higher depending on the amount of the award. But the important thing is it's a pilot project. We're going to get it in place, see how it goes, and then we'll I'm sure there'll be tweaks as we go forward. But that and the 4-year are the two pinnacles as far as going out. That admissions director is going to have every tool they need to compete against our out-of-state schools now.
And really quickly, the match is what? So they get some MAP grant and where then the other funding comes from?
No, the match and the MAP are two different things. So the two separate things. So the match is that the institution would spend some of their institutional dollars that they're not spending now. They'd increase their institutional dollars that go toward scholarships for students. We would provide them the incentive to do that, and we think it really will really help, especially the institutions that have some seats to fill. We think this will be just a great recruiting tool for them.
Every public institution is for these bills in a big way.
Seeing no further questions, we're aiming high. All right? Thank you all for being here. Thank you.